Every pianist has heard of the circle of fifths, and most have been at least a little intimidated by it. Some have tried to learn it, hit a wall of confusing theory, and ended up moving on. That circle of fifths stuff is for other people. And I get it, because I've seen it explained in ways that make it feel like you need a music degree just to start. But here's the truth. The circle of fifths is one of the most practical, useful things you can understand as a pianist. And it's not complicated when someone explains it clearly. And by the way, if you're new here, my name's Jonathan, and on this channel we provide practical tutorials to help you improve at the piano faster. And so today we're demystifying the circle of fifths, no jargon, no overwhelm, just the things that actually matter for your playing. And so let's start with what it actually is. The circle of fifths is a map. That's it. It's a circular arrangement of all 12 musical keys organized by how closely related they are to each other. The keys that sit next to each other on the circle share almost all the same notes, and then keys that sit across from each other are as different as possible. So for example, at the top we have C major. You probably know that's no sharps, no flats. If we go one over, it's just one sharp in G major. But if we go all the way across to say C sharp major, that's going to be 7 sharps. Here's how it's organized. Starting at the top with C major, which has no sharps or flats, as you move clockwise, each key is going to add one more sharp. So G major is going to have 1 sharp, that's F sharp. D major will have 2 sharps, that keeps the F sharp, adds C sharp. And then we have A major, that's 3 sharps, adding G sharp, so F sharp, C sharp, G sharp. And so as you can see, with each step or each notch on the circle, we're adding a sharp, but keeping the ones that we had before. And that'll go all the way until you get to C sharp major, which has 7 sharps. And then if we go the other way, say we start at the top of the circle and go in this direction, it's the same concept, but this time with flats. So we have C major, no sharps or flats. F major has 1 flat, that's the B flat. B flat major's 2 flats, that's B flat, E flat. And then 3 flats, 4 flats, and so on until we get to 7 flats. And then some people get a little confused about these keys down here. On this circle of fifths, you'll notice there are 2 keys listed. These are known as the enharmonic keys. So these keys down here, you can actually have the flat version or the sharp version of that. You're not allowed that with like B flat major or E flat major. But we do have a D flat major and a C sharp major, a G flat major and an F sharp major, and so on. And by the way, this circle also applies to the minor keys, which are listed here on the inside of the circle. We have the majors along with their relative minors. Now, why does this matter for your playing? 3 reasons. The first is key signatures. When you see a piece with 3 sharps, you know immediately 1, 2, 3, you're in the key of A major, or its relative F sharp minor. Or 2 flats, 1, 2, B flat major, or its relative G minor. So the circle is basically a decoder ring for every piece of music you'll ever read. The second is chord progressions. The keys right next to each other on the circle produce the most natural sounding chord progressions. And you might know whatever key you're in, we have a family of chords in that key built on each note of the scale. So for example, in the key of C major, we have the 1 chord C major, the 2 chord D minor, the 3 chords E minor, 4 is F major, 5 is G major, 6 is A minor, 7 is diminished, and then we're back to 1. And so you'll notice here on the circle, if you take a look at C major, all of those chords are here in the surrounding blocks, everything except for the diminished chord. So you have C major, that's the 1 chord, D minor, that's the 2, E minor, F major, G major, and A minor. So every major and minor chord in that key is right there in neighboring the key that you're centered on in the circle. And that applies to all the keys here. Say I want to take A major, same idea. I just take all of these neighboring chords and they're inside that key. We have A major 1, B minor 2, C sharp minor 3, D major 4, E major 5, F sharp minor 6. Again, diminished isn't included because there's no such thing as the key of diminished, so to speak. And there we go. You can see how in the circle we can visualize all those related chords. Third, and this is where it gets really useful for intermediate players, is modulation. Modulation is when you move from one key to another. And the smoothest, most natural modulations almost always move 1 or 2 steps around the circle. So for example, say you're in the key of D major, and you decide you want to modulate, the smoothest modulation would go maybe to G major or even A minor if we take a little intermediary step. So if I'm just kind of improvising in D major and I want to go to G major, I might do a D dominant 7 to bring me to G. And then if I want to go to A minor, I might shift to an E, turn it to E major, A minor. So you can see how, because these are so close, I'm able to pivot quite easily. Now, by contrast, if I tried to go from D major to, say, A flat, that'd be a lot harder. I have to kind of navigate my way through the circle to get there. Otherwise, if I'm in D major and I try to do, see how abrupt that sounded. So this circle literally serves as your guide to get from one key to another as smoothly as possible. Now, you don't have to memorize the whole circle today. Start by just knowing the clockwise pattern and how each step just adds one sharp. Even just knowing where C, G, D, and F major live on the circle, you'll already be ahead of most self-taught pianists. And now that you understand how keys relate to each other, the next thing that's worth understanding deeply is the different types of minor scales, because they show up consistently in the keys you're going to be playing in. I cover all three types in detail in this video right here. I'll see you there.